I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 32, so let's focus on verses 9 and 10. Then Jacob said, God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, the Lord who said to me, go back to your land and to your family, and I will cause you to prosper, I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. I indeed crossed over this Jordan with my staff, and now I have become two camps. Genesis 32, verses 9 and 10. There's many instances throughout the Tanakh, which is a Hebrew term for the Old Testament, involving staff imagery. And perhaps the three major instances involve Moses and Judah, and of course today's chapter, Jacob. In the days of the patriarchs, the staff was essential. It was both a sign of prominence and of defense in the wilderness. A man could lean on it when he was traveling on a long journey. And in biblical imagery, the staff represented a man's support system, how he got through life. Now take the story of Moses, for instance. God told him to throw his staff on the ground. And once it hit the ground, Moses' staff became a snake. And the snake represented that Moses' way of getting through life was sinful. God then asked Moses to pick up the snake, which represents Moses' fear of trusting the Lord. And when Moses took hold of the snake, it became the staff of God. Now, there's another power, there's a kind of power in that kind of a staff. And anyone who has seen the Ten Commandments movie, remember that, knows God's staff beats the best of man-made staffs any day. So Jacob crosses over the Jordan with his own staff, and he became two camps, and spiritually and literally he was double-minded. And he wanted to follow the Lord, but he wanted to follow the Lord in his own way, which is very dangerous. Does that remind you of anybody? Reminds me of me, right? You want to follow the Lord, but you want to do it your way. Of course, that's not really following the Lord, is it? And God was about to teach Jacob that very lesson. Elijah gave us a good definition of double-mindedness. Consider 1 Kings 18, verse 2. And Elijah came unto all the people and said, how long will you halt between two opinions? Literally, how long will you be double-minded? If the Lord is God, follow him, but if it's Baal, then follow him. And then, of course, on Mount Carmel, we saw the fire of the Lord fall. And Baal was obviously defeated because he's not a God at all. We have to realize that the battle is not over following the Lord's way versus our way. It's really a battle of heeding God's voice or Satan's. Now later that evening, Jacob wrestled with God. And when the Bible says that Jacob overcame, it doesn't mean that he defeated the Lord. The Lord dislocated his hip. That match is over. It's impossible to wrestle with God and beat him. So what does it mean when it says he overcame? Well, the Lord was trying to shake Jacob loose. He was literally testing Jacob to see if Jacob would let go of him during adversity. He was forcing Jacob to choose him through difficulty. And Jacob passed the test because he would not let go of the Lord, even when his hip was dislocated. Nor should we. Jacob chose to become single-minded and to fully follow the Lord. Have you? I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Check us out at groundworksministries.com.